Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This afternoon we have a back-to-back lecture series, and we begin with Colin Andrews. The title is Crop Circles, What They Mean. Colin is the premier crop circle researcher and is the co-author of the book Circular Evidence, and he is going to relate his first-hand investigations into the crop circles. The enigma of how, why, and who formed these crop circles is still not solved, but developments are occurring. He's going to be referring to those, I think, this afternoon and also in his workshop. New things have happened, exciting things, I don't even know what they are, within the last 7 days. All I know is that my wife spoke to somebody in England just before I came up here who is near Sudbury and said, there are 5 new circles in our area and we've been to see them, and Colin Andrews has already been here. And that's, you know, it's one of those things. Wherever there's a crop circle, so goes Colin Andrews. Colin is clearly the person that has put perhaps more energy and time and effort, along with his wife Cynthia, into finding out what's going on, deciphering, collating. He's got an enormous archive of this material, and it's a very important subject, as you will find out. After that, we have Dr. Franz Lutz, who is the head of the IRT in Germany, and he will be presenting very interesting material not only on resonance therapy, but its connection with the use of the crop circle information in terms of the treatment of some of the dying ecosystems in Europe. So, without further ado, Colin Andrews.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks very much, Peter, for that introduction. I have literally minus 24 hours flown directly here from England, where I've spent the last, 3.5 weeks catching up with events which are unfolding by the day, as they have for, of course, the last 15 years of my life, and I'm sure quite a few years before that for other individuals, including the farmers themselves. As Peter was saying, there are developments occurring by the day, some very exciting ones which you'll be the first to hear about, because in fact, frankly, I really didn't quite know whether I had the time to fly back here. So much was going on. A huge level of UFO activity right down the west sea coast from Scotland, England, Wales, right down to the southwest of the country. Over 1,000-mile stretch of the Atlantic Ocean into the English Channel, receiving literally thousands of reports, way beyond anything I've experienced, of UFO activity. At the same time, a switch appearing to be thrown in the complexity, the sheer beauty and geometry of the crop circles themselves. I've not arrived here with a film showing you a UFO forming the crop circles, although who knows, within the next few weeks, who knows. But there's a great deal of circumstantial evidence, there has been for a number of years, that our friends, whoever or whatever that UFO is, the sphere that looks very similar to the sphere outside this room on exhibition there, and in proportion very similar to that sphere, are being seen by many, many people. We do have films of that sphere, and some of you might have seen the films that we've managed to get a hold of, and indeed have filmed ourselves on some of the major television programs in this country. So I'm sort of, in a way, giving you some of my excitement of the last few hours, really, of this last week. But what I would like to do in the next hour and 20 minutes or so, leaving time, if this is in order, for your questions, if that would allow us to get a little closer between us, and to satisfy yourselves on any questions, of course, that you might have. I would like to give you a fairly rapid, it's true, overview of the last 15 years, where the science is, where the hooks that we have worked hard to obtain, and of course, I would have to cover what is an important part of this, the hoaxing that's occurring. It's the little bit of hassle we're having, which is written basically the subject off in the eyes of an awful lot of people. It's the irresponsibility of the Western world media which has caused that, as it has caused many institutions and very important dissemination of environmental information to the world's public to be placed under the carpet. I personally feel so strongly about the situation which exists in the international media that I have to unleash it at times. And they are absolutely responsible for the state of the research, the lack of rapid progress, although there is progress in this particular area. It does require, as we all know, the support of the public and the scientific fraternity to up this thing a cog and to move it forward where it deserves to be. After, I don't want to keep saying 15 years, but I'm beginning to feel the 15 years that I've put into this, it is still, as I stand here, I am, and my wife knows this, we talk many hours of every day about this subject. I am only stood in front of you because, as a professional engineer myself, a senior officer that used to be before I resigned to do this in local government back in England, I am totally convinced that this is one of the most important phenomena of our times. It is of profound importance to us. It will be a crime if we allow this to pass us by without looking at it seriously. So that's what I hope to give you a very rapid overview, not to try and convince you of one thing or the other. It isn't my job. It never has been. I simply want to present to you the facts. And the rest I leave to you. Just very quickly, so that we can set the scene, the phenomenon itself is global. There is no question that it's occurring everywhere. It's occurring in this country as it is in most countries. But there's something very special, I guess, very different about this area of central southern England, which we haven't really put our fingers on, although there are some very hefty correlations in the data to make some suggestions to you about why 95% of the world's total total number of reports is actually, yeah, thanks a lot, that would be good, is occurring in this red, roughly triangular area here. You have Wantage up in Oxfordshire, Winchester, the ancient capital of England here, and Warminster in Wiltshire over here. And throughout the period of time that I've been looking at it myself, there are, broadly speaking, corridors of activity along these edges, and now randomly scattered events within it. And that overall area represents 95% of all reports worldwide. The blue area, which encompasses Stonehenge, Silbury Hill, Avebury, these very famous circular archaeological sites, you will be seeing and reading in many of the books, again, outside of this room. Well, that is the area of most of the activity, indeed, is inside here. In recent weeks, that's where I've spent almost every day of the last 3 weeks, is flying surveillance aircraft across this very small dot. It's about 40.1 miles radius of Stonehenge itself. So just that, so you see that's the UK. You've got the English Channel, the Atlantic, and London just over here, so that you have some idea of most of what you're looking at is coming out of here. Okay, thank you. As we're setting that, I met Peter at the International Association of New Science conference, I guess it was about a year ago, something like that, and I have the sense that we are at the beginning of quite a journey here. You have a very diverse field of interest and expertise in the room, and the organization promotes areas of research which I think is an essential component part of the new science, which is where this is also going. That really is all we are sat here discussing this afternoon. Circular areas initially of flattened plants, undamaged, no tracks in, no tracks out, no soil compression below these plants, And more importantly for the biologists of our world, and I've not heard a peep of an explanation for this yet, when we're talking about skepticism, very healthy part of our research, and it must remain there because of the problems that we're currently experiencing, but one has to explain from day one, from this slide, how it is that plants, these are yellow flowers of oilseed rape, a brittle plant, just like your tobacco plants in this country, which incidentally have also had the phenomenon occurring in them, can be bent over at right angles without breakage. At this stage, beyond the flexible growth stage into flowering at early seed, these plants are brittle. These plants should be broken, but they are not. So for the biologists in our audience, there is challenge number one.